Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your weekly source for all things Final Fantasy TCG.
But no, dude. So, I've been playing a lot of Magic this week, and actually, when I was at the event in Richmond, somebody who plays up with Muhammad, I was using my Noctis mat today, and they came by and they were like, "Oh, you play Final Fantasy?" And then I was like, "Yeah," we just kind of talked, and he's like, "Yeah, I play with Muhammad." I was like, "Oh, Chris Adams." He's like, "Oh shit, I know who you are. I've never had a chance to meet you or whatever." So it was really cool. We had a guy from Muhammad's store that was down here playing Magic, so it was nice to kind of spread some Final Fantasy love. Of course, I had my Returners coffee mug as well, but that I could talk about that all day. But Adam, you know what I'm here to talk about? You know what we're here for today?
A Magic tournament, I guess, based on what you're talking about.
Close. Oh, that's what I was doing earlier today. But we are back for the next episode of the RVA Returners podcast. Boys, welcome. I'm your host, Chris Adams. With me always, Adam Lane. Say hi to everybody there, brother.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, he's here. He is here. And we got a lot to talk about. We've had everything from, a couple of major tournaments happening, a fresh promo, cards that don't do what we've always thought they've done.
Well, they do. Well, okay. Yeah, kind of. I get it.
Yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down on that.
Yeah.
No wordplay this week. We're just gonna dive in, man. We're diving right into the deep end. I got my swim trunks on. I got my dragon floaty. Got my nose plugs and my goggles. It's summertime, or it's close to summertime. We're diving in the pool that is the news. All right, so first up in the news, I want to say this happened earlier this week, or was it actually Sunday or Monday?
It was at the Japan Cup, which I will probably talk about right after this. It happened because of a play that happened there.
Yeah, specifically regarding Alba. Now, the three cards that are in question are Alba, the legendary Sarah from Opus 7, and Opus 2 Nono.
Yeah, and actually the play happened with Nono, believe it or not.
Did it really? I thought it would have happened with Alba. That's
wild. Yeah, it actually happened with Nono, which caused questions about Alba. And then I remember as soon as I heard about it, I was like, okay, well, Sarah has to work the same way too, because she's worded exactly the same.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, basically what it is they were, you had to choose as many as is kind of the key words and on the cards. So like with Alba, it's choose as many words of darkness as you control. With Sarah, it's 13 characters, and with Nono, it's Job Moogles. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that it's supposed to be up to. So that kind of changes Nono and Alba a good amount. Sarah was kind of whatever, to be honest, because she could already just kind of dull her own stuff and then do stuff on the stack.
Exactly.
But the other ones required you to choose your stuff or your opponent's stuff only, so it's kind of hard to get around the triggers. And Alba, if you're playing like the tribal deck, sometimes your opponent's board just wouldn't be wide enough for you to be able to dull things at all. But now with this new errata, that doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. And I think, obviously, like you said, Sarah's whatever. Alba and Nono are the two that really, I don't want to say benefit, because this isn't like, when we say errata, it's just like Death Machine was when it was more of a mistranslation than an errata, right?
Right.
So we're now going to be playing the card as it was intended. So, and this was earlier this week, so everyone's kind of had their chance to say their piece and kind of go on their witch hunt, grab their pitchforks, or whatever the case may be. But I think the real issue here is, Alba and Sarah, those are newer cards. What am I trying to say? I'm not excusing the behavior, but when we're going back to Opus 2, when we see a card like Nono that has the same wording that is worded, at least in English, it's worded incorrectly. So the real question has become, what other cards now that may just be sitting by the wayside that may be translated incorrectly as well?
Right, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a problem. And I think really what they should do now is just go back and look at all the cards. I'm not saying anything else is mistranslated at all. It might be zero. But I think they need to go back and make sure it's zero.
No, 100%. And I think one of the big, people are actually going through and looking at cards. I know, like, as soon as we saw this going on, I know one of the first things that, specifically David Cox was saying that, hey, maybe Chocomog's worded wrong, or maybe some of these other cards are worded wrong. Specifically Chocomog, because it's in the new 7 starter deck with no targets.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
So, it's really hard to say, right? Like, you don't want to go on a witch hunt, but you definitely want to make sure that when these cards are coming out, that everybody, if we're all playing the same card game, we want to make sure we're playing the same card game. So, we've always kind of joked that, we see some Japanese lists that we feel like they're playing a different game over there. Well, turns out they kind of are, because their cards, some of the cards are worded just a little bit differently. So, obviously, I think maybe now the awareness is there. So I think maybe we'll start to see that. I don't know if we've heard if they're going back through and doing all that kind of stuff now, and I'm sure that's extremely tedious.
Oh yeah, I mean you're talking like thousands of cards. So
yeah, thousands of cards, and it's a for lack of a better way to say it, like English is probably the most complex language on the planet, just because of all the shorthand and all the slang and all of those kinds of things that are like acceptable words. Mm-hmm. Like, I guess, what am I trying to say here? They're words that, you like, ain't is a word these days. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Right. I think also we're like a tiny bit spoiled because all the other big card games, I guess I guess Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon are Japanese card games, right?
Mm-hmm. So, but the big one being Magic is homegrown here.
Yeah, Magic, like, English is the law, right? Like, if this happened in Magic, then the Japanese cards would be getting eroded, not the English cards.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm not saying it's right. Like, it's obviously wrong in both situations, but I feel like we probably don't feel it as much because of that. And I would assume Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Have been around for long enough now where they probably have kind of gotten past that phase. But I never really played them like talking about, so I'm not sure.
Same. But what feels bad is, and I think where the root of the issue is coming from is these things aren't coming up until major events. The same thing happened with Death Machine. I would feel terrible if I went to the Death Machine one's not nearly as bad, right? Because it didn't win the event, but like at the same time, people did lose to the deck because we had it worded a certain way. The same thing's got to be said for cards like Alba. They play Alba. You have, as far as we knew, you would dull as many as they had Warriors of Darkness, but to find out that, like, oh man, we've been playing this card wrong the whole time, and I lost because I didn't have enough or too many, or that makes you. It goes back. It does make you go back and question. Like, it's very similar to Death Machine, right? Like, it's not that big of a deal, but if you were the one that got beat by it, or if you were one that got you were on the short end of the stick, you'll feel terrible. Yeah. But also at the same time, it's an honest mistake. It's not something that was, as far as we knew, these are how the cards worked.
Yeah, I think it feels a little worse at the Japan Cup because the way it was found out was because 2 European players were there, and they thought the card worked one way, and obviously the Japanese players knew that it worked the way it worked. But as Death Machine, like, we all knew how that card worked. Like we had all read the same card. Even though it wasn't working as intended, we all read the same card. Whereas in this case, you could easily be surprised. Like, if someone played Death Machine in Tampa, which happened, obviously, if you didn't know what that card did in Tampa, that's on you. Because the card's there. But, like Tim and Alex Hancock's going to Japan, they could be, like, playing a certain way to play around the Alba, and then the Alba comes down, they're like, psych, it works this way, It's a little bit different, I think, but both are unfortunate.
So. It also makes you wonder that if they weren't at that event, would we have ever known about this?
Probably not, sadly.
Yeah, and I think that's really the root of the issue. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's been beaten all week, and I know I've heard that people are working on it, but again, it's tedious. It's a lot of going back and having someone translate to it's not an easy task, and this goes back to one of those things that. Are they really going to dedicate the manpower to it? Do they have the manpower to spare? That kind of thing? Because obviously, in the grand scheme of things, the game is kind of small potatoes. So I don't know. We'll see. Obviously, as we'll update everybody as we know more stuff too. But I think for now, maybe this will be just as this will stay isolated like this. But hopefully that'll be all we hear of it, or hopefully they'll find any other mistake and fix the problem.
Right.
But for now, I think now that we're all on the same page, I think that's going to help moving forward. But we'll see. Speaking of that event, it actually turned out to be a really decent event. It looked like it was. I know we had talked about it a little bit last week because it was still going on, or the last round was happening when we were doing our podcast, and there was draft, there was constructed. It was 2-deck constructed.
Yeah, it was a 3-day tournament. So it was like day 1 was constructed, day 2 was draft, and then day 3 was top 12 with buys for top 4 and 2-deck constructed. And the records from your draft and your constructed were combined.
And it was actually won by the player now known as Duncan. He was playing Fire Ice and also Earth Wind, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was on Fire Ice 100%.
No, yeah, those were the 2 decks he played. Formerly Kaka, he was a Worlds player last year, so he's good.
Yeah, definitely a strong player, and I really liked his Fire Ice list. Running the Sephiroths, very similar to it was a list that he top 4'd with at an event prior. And the changes he made, I want to say he added the Sephiroth in there. I want to say some of the backups are different. And
very few, and Umaru is the
which I think Umaru seems fine. I mean, the deck it's a Final Fantasy VI deck, so just being able to get the most value out of Locke is always important. And I didn't really get a chance to look at his Earth Wind list. I know it was running like three Finas, and it was a lot of the Earth Wind that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. And yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, it was fairly standard for the most part.
Yeah. But that finished up last week. Congratulations to him winning that event. And I know didn't Alex Hancock and Tim both make top 8 of that event as well?
I believe they both did. I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember if Tim did, but I believe he did. And I know Alex got top 4.
Yeah. So strong showing all across the board. It was I haven't been able to I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of it. I've kind of seen like the videos here, videos there. I've just been real busy this week. Like, it was a really good event. And then moving to this week, we had another big event. The Water Crystal Cup over in the UK was happening this weekend. I know it was the same thing. This one was day 1. It was 8 rounds of Swiss, cut to top 32 with draft, and then the draft cut to top 8. And before we start breaking down the event, I want to give a huge congratulations to Mr. Joshua Freeman Birch, Yehoshua himself, for winning his world's qualifying spot. He is now on the world team. I know last year he had come so close so many times, and now he's gotten over that hump. So a huge congratulations on that.
Yeah, it seems like a theme. It seems like a theme this year, right? Like,
it has been definitely the storyline of the season so far. The last 2 players that have qualified, obviously we're talking about JFB and Colin Rupert, both of them right there on the cusp last year, and then here they are right there. They're all and they did it early too. So now they can I don't want to say they can relax, but the pressure is off, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. So overall, Adam, what did you think of the event? I know I didn't really get a chance. I had to work on Saturday, so I kind of popped into day 1 whenever I could.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of day 1, not a ton. Didn't really catch any of the draft this morning, but I caught pretty much the whole top 8. JFB was there. Joe Safir was in the top 8 as well.
Yep, Joe Safir, congrats to him.
Robert
Phillips doing the commentary this weekend.
Commentary was really good, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. They did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I know it sucks, when you're a player. Both those players are really good players. You're going to take a back seat to commentate. But, I think it's a lot of fun when I get to do it. So
I love it.
I absolutely love it. But, those are 2 guys that could probably be competing for world spots also. So I'm glad to see that they took some time to actually get, people that are really knowledgeable on the mics, which is nice. But, yeah, like you said, JFB kind of took the whole event down. It looked like he was never really out of control in top 8. There were a few matches in his best of 3s that he had some backup issues, but not a ton. And the reason that is he only ran 15 backups in his deck.
Yeah. So before we jump the gun, he was playing Earthwind.
Yeah, Earthwind with a lot of spice in it. It's mostly Earthwind, but there's ice cards, there's lightning cards, there's fire cards. And that's become kind of the norm. But yeah, he's only running 15 backups, only 2 semis, 3 Mion, which I'm happy to see because I still think that's the right way to go.
Yep, I agree.
Zero Mog 11s. I think that might be weird for some people to see. But I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you look at the list, I mean, because he's obviously on the Layax, and he's got a Death Gaze in there. I'm pretty sure if you talk to him, I'm not sure, he never really said it flat out, but I would probably bet that he's going to take the Dark Fina out of this list, because I don't think I ever saw him play it, and probably replace it with a third Fina. I think he could probably go to 1 Urion J2. I know that was mentioned on stream a couple times. But I know he really likes that card. I also really like that card. But, yeah, I think, just the you don't even need him to play the Phoenixes, because you already have, like, Shantoto and Chaos.
Exactly. Yeah, I've actually got the list pulled up here in front of me. The backups, it was 2 semis, 3 Mion, 1 Chaos, 1 Minor, 1 Echo, 1 Agito, 3 Star Sybil, 1 Toto, 1 Minfilia, and 1 Apooparoo.
Yeah, and I think the backup line is actually really, really strong. Echo did a lot of work for him when I saw it. I didn't see the Minor that often. Obviously, like, Semi and Mion were played, like, every game. I mean, there were a few games where he had some slow starts, but he was still able to deal with the early pressure. I think the Fire Water list that he played against was probably gave him the most trouble. And he still came on top. So, I mean, probably Cecil was MVP based on what I saw.
Oh, dude, Earth Cecil's such a great card. I saw a couple matches where he was just going to town with Dark.
He won. I want to say it was the Fire Water player that he beat. When he did, he played. He was on 4, and he played Cecil. And he had Noctis on board, and he double darked, and like,
feels so good. And
he won. He had the Minor. It was actually even a harder play because he saw it. It was he had 2 Cecil in hand. He popped his Minor, got back the 3rd Cecil, played Cecil, double darked with Noctis on board, and then like swung for game. But I mean, this deck's still extremely powerful. The Aerith was a little surprising to me, but it did a lot of work for him when I saw him play it.
And it's only a 1-of, right? So it's not really going to interrupt the Dodaluma Cactar plan if you ever have to go to that, which is, still just a cornerstone of the deck.
Yep, and Fina did a lot of work too. And obviously, like, between Fina and Veritas, being able to get the full value off Star Sybil, it feels kind of wrong when you're paying 3 for Sybils, Oh,
no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So deck seems really powerful. Like I was saying earlier, obviously Earth Wind is not going anywhere. The deck is still just a tier 1 archetype that you're gonna have to know how to beat it when you go to a tournament, or else it's just gonna roll over you.
Yep.
And it plays a very long game too. So now, in finals he was actually here's the real shocker, right? In finals he wasn't playing against there was no Mono Water in the finals.
I don't know if Mono Water was in the top 8. I don't know all the lists, but the lists I do know, none of them are Mono Water.
Which ones do you know? Because like I said, I haven't really seen much about it.
So I'm pretty sure there was a Wind Water list. I know there was Mono Wind, the Fire Water Final Fantasy IX list, which was pretty sweet looking, and then the Earth Ice Flan list that Joe was playing. His list was also really sweet too. I know I barely mentioned it like a minute ago. He was playing Garland 9, and I never really thought about it, but Garland 9 with Light Zidane, actually pretty cool.
It's great. It's absolutely great.
So he was able to like play early Garlands and then play Zidane for 2 to make him discard, and then they have to deal with Garland like immediately after. He lost his first round in top 8 against the Mono Wind player, but I only caught.
Simon, I believe was his name.
Yep. I only caught a piece of that set, and I actually thought when I left, I had to go do something. I thought Joe was gonna win, and then I came back and he had lost. So,
yeah. Actually, I got the top 8 right here. It was Joshua Freeman Birch against Murphy. I'm gonna butcher his last name is just NG. I don't know how that's pronounced. Pardon my ignorance. We had Michael McMillan versus Salim Arudi. We had Simon Drake versus Joe Hill, and we had Callum Hackett versus Anthony Say. And then obviously it was JFB versus Salim, Simon versus Callum, then JFB versus Simon in the finals. Now, I was trying to listen to the finals as I was driving home today, and my Twitch kind of froze up on me as I was coming back into my neighborhood because shit ton of trees around here. But I hear there was there was quite the assist from Simon here getting JFB the win. Kind of talk about what happened at him.
Yeah, he punted into the stands for sure. He had a Leziford out, and Leziford was one of like his spicier cards too that you don't see super often. But he was running, and he just didn't read what his own Leatherford did, sadly. So JFB set up a Noctis play, took the 6 point of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Simon had 4 forwards on board. I think it was Bartz, Vada, Y'shtola, and Aerith, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So JFB attempted to break Bartz and fight Y'shtola to try to force kind of the Y'shtola pop.
Mm-hmm.
And Simon responded by Leatherfording his own Y'shtola. Now, so cards like Cactuar Conductor and Archer, Opus 4 Archer, I believe, what those do is you break them and you target your own forward, and then the next damage that's dealt to that forward is 0. Leatherford says, choose a forward, the next damage it deals is 0. So, he actually ended up making it so JFB didn't even have to pay to save his Noctis. And instead, he was forced to pop his Y'shtola to save his Bartz. Otherwise, he would have just lost 2 forwards, and he had to pay to pop his Leatherford. So he also lost his Leatherford.
Oh, that's a big oof.
Yeah, and it was definitely at the point where I think Simon had probably turned the corner in that game. Not to say that JFB couldn't have won from that position, but the Noctis was kind of just like almost like a desperation move. I mean, it's still a 6 point Noctis. It's still really good, but it was on Simon's attacks. Like Simon knew he was going to put him to 6, and then he just used his Leatherford wrong.
That's just unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's nerves. I get it, but definitely, like, when you're in that point, you read your card.
Yeah, no, for sure, and hopefully that's gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those moments where he's gonna carry that Leatherford around in his wallet for the next couple months until the next event. So, but we'll see what happens, man. He's obviously a really good player. They had 130 people at this event this weekend.
Yeah, I believe it's like a final number was like 138, I think.
Yeah, so to go through that field, make it to the finals. You still had a monster weekend of cards. Don't let the one misplay that probably cost you the finals. Don't let that beat you up. But at the same time, it's rough. It's rough to go so far and then to have that happen where you're just like, oh shit, I just literally turn over on downs for sure.
Yep.
But nonetheless, still, congratulations to JFB. It's really, really exciting to have him on the Worlds team. What am I trying to say here? The Worlds picture is shaping up very, very nicely. We still have, we have Toby, we have Alex, we have JFB, and we have Colin Rupert so far. Those are 4 really, really, really strong names.
Yeah, and I guess also from the Crystal Cup, we got like the next promo look. Yeah,
that's actually really cool. It's the Road to Worlds promo.
Yep, it's the first Legend promo ever. I believe.
Actually, it is. So. It's the Noctis. Noctis was a promo.
I guess technically that's true. He's a box hopper, and Cloud too. But this isn't. You can't just buy this. Like, this is gonna probably be one of the more rare promos, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. In that regard, absolutely. Yeah, the fact that it's the Opus 6 Zidane, the 4 CP one. That's really cool and has the nice foil gold etching. The Road to Worlds promo. Now, no, did they get him at this event today?
No, it's for Euros over there.
Okay.
And I thought it was for our Nats. I thought that's what they said, but I've been informed that we don't know how we're gonna get him yet. It's possible that maybe they're like prizes for the people that win the LQs. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think that's either way. I think that's really cool. I love seeing. I don't know what it is, man. The promo program in this game has really, really just been stepped up to the next level, and I don't think they've put any bad ones out. Like, obviously, we're in May, so I believe now this month's promo is Alua.
Yep. We're
just coming off the Cagnazzo month, and then next month it's Alex Hancock's promo, the 5 CP Bartz.
Yep.
So the promos are really, really fantastic, and they just keep getting better. Boy, they've come a long way since, like, LAN and Saz, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're also making them less available.
Which I think is fun.
I have no issue with it. I know some people do. So I think that's, like, kind of the trade-off is, like, they're making them better cards, and, we're getting these full arts. But they're harder to get, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm 100% okay with that. I like that these promos that they're giving out, like in these tournament kits, essentially, to be available at tournaments. Like, it's a card game. you need to go play the game to get the promos. I understand it's a collectible card game or a trading card game, so you want to collect them as well, but it's a game first. So being able to having to actually attend events and do well to get like the foils at least, I think that's 100% the way to go. And it's good that the cards themselves are just staples and ones you can see playing. I'll beat that horse till I'm blue in the face, but. But again, it's a really solid weekend overall. Next weekend we're looking really stacked because we've got the LQs are starting around here.
Yeah, I mean, starting all over the U.S., but yeah, there are a few near us.
Yeah, I know a few people are going to West Virginia. That's a few hours. I want to say that's like a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive. So it'd be like no different than us going to Pennsylvania this weekend. So that's happening. We've got our Soldier Series event this weekend, which, that was rough. We had scheduled this one when the LQs were coming up, so we're actually going to lose some bodies to that. But at the same time, we still got that coming up. We're actually not streaming this one, so no one's really going to be missing out. But we actually get to play in something, which is going to be kind of nice, which will be, fun. And the other thing coming up, there's another little event happening next weekend. It's our own Water Crystal Cup over in Portland.
Yeah.
And this one is not draft. Is that correct?
It is not. Yeah, we don't start our draft until Kansas City. That's the first one.
Yep. And that's what, a little over a month away.
Yeah, I think almost exactly a month away.
Yeah, so there's a lot to look forward to, especially this weekend coming up. LQ season's in full effect. We got some local tournaments. We got a Crystal Cup. So make sure you guys tune into that. I know the Break Zone is doing the commentary. They've got a new camera system so they can do multiple feature matches, which is absolutely fantastic. The more the merrier. That's one thing I'll never say enough of in this game. If you can run a second feature match, please do it. It's just the downtime is still an issue. I get it if you're in a small space and you can't have the 2 feature match set up. But sometimes having these 30, 40-minute breaks is brutal. And it's tough on the commentary team. Like if there's not really much going on, it's really hard to sit there and keep people engaged, right? Mm-hmm. And that's, why having that second feature match allows you to have something to talk about. But, it's really all about keeping the stream engaged because you want them to watch. You want them to stick around. You want to make sure that they're ready to go when the next match starts. So the more you can do on cameras, again, we're beating dead horses today, man. That seems to be the theme of this episode. The stable's been cleared. There's glue everywhere. But yeah, so I think that'll be really neat to watch. I'm excited to tune in. We'll probably I'll see if I can get them to throw it on Battlegrounds while we're doing our event. So we'll see what that's about. But as far as the news goes, Adam, that's all I've got. You got any headlines, anything hot off the presses happening between now and when we started?
I guess the only other thing I can maybe think about is the Octagon Open. There's only 2 people left now.
Oh, yeah. Congrats to Muhammad. He's in the finals now. Top 4 was Muhammad versus Colin Rupert, and is Alejandro and it was him and Chris Neal, right?
I believe Chris Neal won, but don't quote me on that.
Okay. Well, either way, I think it was a really strong top 4. Muhammad obviously having to play against Colin Rupert, a mono water mirror, which I'm sure was just an absolute barn burner to watch. But I can't wait to see that. When is that final supposed to take place? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if they've set the time up yet.
Well, I'm definitely going to be rooting for Muhammad. Got to root for the hometown boys. So, good luck to him. And good luck to, if it's either Alejandro or Chris Neal, good luck to both of you as well. You're both fantastic players. So don't let my location bias, turn anybody away. Because, we all love each other around here. But as far as that goes, yeah, I've no other headlines for me unless they're the ace reporter on the streets bringing it in.
No, I got nothing else.
We got nothing. But so what we want to talk about here, kind of talking about Portland, is that really our last bit of news. Let's kind of talk about what the expectation is. Obviously, once the deck lists come out from the Crystal Cup from the UK, that's going to potentially have an impact on what people play because people are going to start testing those decks. They're going to start trying different things. So Adam, let's talk kind of quick predictions here. Just kind of one shot it. Not so much what we think is going to win. But do you think there's going to be an archetype that's going to be a bigger player here than there was at maybe the last couple?
Are you counting this weekend as well?
Yeah. We're definitely throwing this one in there.
Probably not many surprises, honestly. Mm-hmm. I expect to see Mono Water is still really popular here. We didn't really see quite make the cut over in Europe, but I expect a lot of the field to be on that. It's a really strong deck. I expect to see more Dottaluma than we saw in Tampa, for sure.
Yep.
Which might make some, people over here in America still like Minwoo, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that in water decks.
No, absolutely.
I think you'll still see a little bit of the Final Fantasy IX deck. It's starting to pick up steam. Watching the guy play in Europe, I believe it was Salim that was playing it. It was pretty sweet. I mean, he got 10k VVs off a few times.
I know he nuked people with VV a couple times.
I mean, his whole backup line was 9 with except with a few exceptions, and so he was playing Zidane for positive CP.
Oh yeah.
So I never saw him play the new Legends Zidane. I don't know how many are in the deck, but he was playing Baby Phoenix. So, but every time I saw him cast it, it was always to target a Garnet. So
I could see that. Didn't he? I think the one play where he did Garnet. He did Phoenix a VV back in. Get the 10k nuke on something, or 12k technically.
Yep, and he one time he Phoenixed in a Garnet to make a Phoenix only deal 3k.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that deck is starting to pick up more steam. I think it's a bit of an aggro deck, I guess. Like, it can go really wide, but I think it's a little bit slower than what you saw at Tampa. Like, I think that people in Tampa were playing it really, really fast. It was like, I'm gonna play the new Zidane with Sage and Belias. And then if you look at this list, it was more like, I'm gonna play a bunch of Final Fantasy IX backups, and then just search my deck a bunch of times with Steiner, and play Layla Viking, Cloud of Darkness, all that stuff.
Yep.
So,
and when VV's sitting on a 1 CP, nuke something for 10k, that's pretty good value in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you get to that point, it makes all the synergy worth it, for sure. And then Freya was doing work too, so it looked really cool.
Freya's really good.
I don't know how much Earth Ice you're gonna see there, but that's another deck definitely that should be on people's radar. And then obviously Mono Wind and Wind Water.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do we think at this point going into Portland, do we feel like, I don't want not to use a kind of a cliche term, but do we think the meta is getting close to being solved?
I mean, it's still a lot of ways you can play. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was a Fire Earth deck in top 8 at Europe too. I think I saw someone say that, which probably means it was Final Fantasy VII, if I had to guess. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, that deck's still pretty good. You have to be worried about so many things.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot that's good. So I don't really know if define's the right word, but it definitely more fleshed out for sure. People are understanding what's good, but there's still so many things that are good.
No, yeah, I agree. Now, as far as some of the names that are going to be there, I know, California's going to have a strong presence there. I'm pretty sure Oki's going, Berkeley's going. Do we know if Greg Cole's going 100%?
I don't. I know. I would expect to see a lot of Meta Potion guys, and then a lot of guys from up in near the Portland area that you don't normally see.
Yep, and I know some of the Washington guys will be coming down. I know I know the Jersey boys are going to be going as well. I know John, Dan, I think PJ are all going.
Yeah, and so is
Alex may be going too. I'm not sure.
I believe he said he was. So.
Okay, so there's going to be some strong representation there. Again, this is one that isn't. This is constructed all the way through, so that no one has to worry about having that playing that draft game. But it's so up in the air, like you said. It's kind of touch bases on it. There's so much to prepare for. Do you think it's almost too much, or are we at that point now in this meta, or as of right now, if we were to snapshot it, do you have to maybe let a matchup go potentially? This one's not the greatest, but everything else is fine. Do you let that one matchup go, or do you run the risk of, oh wow, what if I run into that matchup 4 times in the same day?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I think you have to make a call of what you're going to see more of, and try to tech toward that while still being good against the general stuff. Because I mean, you might run into some random stuff too. So I think that's why Earth Wind is very good against just people trying to bring their own personal spice stuff, and then you're just here, deal with this Dottaluma, Cecil, Noctis. Mono Wind is like that too, where it's just generically good. You can kind of beat Mono Wind out the gate though, so some janky or faster stuff can beat that, but then the jankier, faster stuff's gonna have trouble with mono water because like you're gonna get punished if you try to do that versus them. So yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. I don't envy people going to a lot of these things because trying to figure out I would probably be on something really, really safe. I'd probably be looking at mono water or earth wind for sure.
Well, that actually was going to segue into my next question. I know we're going to be, we got these videos coming up. If you were going to play something like seriously, like I'm going there, my goal is to win, and you had to narrow it down, I'll give you an easy way out. I'll let you have 2 decks. What do you think you'd be playing?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I just said it right. So mono water and earth wind probably. I don't know.
What do you think you would like lean towards coming down, like the night of the tournament or the morning of? All right, this is what I'm playing. This is what I'm registering. This is what I'm playing.
For me, mono water is so much less stressful to play. For me, like I've played a good amount with both decks. Earth wind can have some trickier stuff that you have to deal with, and like ways you have to sequence certain things. It is very strong, but mono water a lot of times stuff can be pretty straightforward. So. I'd probably lean more toward mono water, but I'd probably be bringing both decks with me. But my video, I'm probably going to end up doing on something more fun. So I'll probably end up doing like Earth Fire or something. But rest assured, if I was going, I would definitely be playing one of those 2 for sure. So what would you be playing?
Well, I know I'd be 100% playing either Fire Ice or Mono Wind. I've been playing a lot of Mono Wind lately, and I think that deck is just still in a really, really good spot. And because of Earth Wind kind of being on the, where it's at now, kind of really making this hard comeback, I still think it gives Fire Ice a really hard time. So just because of that, I would probably be on Mono Wind. Not that I think either one is bad, because I'm definitely playing more of the Japanese list with the Sephiroths and the Sid Allstain and all that stuff. And the deck feels really good, like really, really good. But I think if I had to, like, just because I want clean consistency, and I just think Mono Wind, especially it's the reps I've had on it, this meta has just been really, really solid. So that's what I'd play. The video, I'm doing another deck I'd consider, just again to keep it fun and interesting, because I know Adam covered Mono Wind 2 ways last time, and I don't think we want to see a third Mono Wind deck, even though mine is different from those 2. And I'll go into that one a little bit more, but it is a carbuncle deck, so that's what I'd be covering. But I don't know. Like I think the tournament is still really wide open, but I think you could easily see a lot of the usual suspects again. But I think regardless, it's going to be a good tournament. And do you think, going kind of bringing it back full circle, do you think any of the cards that, now that we know how they work, specifically Alba and Sarah and maybe even Nono, do you think these cards are going to have an impact on this event at all, maybe?
Probably not, to be honest. I mean, it definitely helps. Like I said, Sarah doesn't matter. Like, it really didn't change her at all, to be honest. Because you could target your own stuff anyways.
Absolutely.
It does make the Warrior Darkness, like the JFB list, a little bit better, but if you're going to play that, I would recommend that you just play Earth Wind. It's just better.
Exactly.
And then
playing the 15 backups is the way to go, or
I don't know. To me. I mean, it paid off for him. It was definitely ballsy. It makes your draws. If you can get your backups established early, your draws become way more lethal later in the game.
For sure.
So if you can get away with it, yeah, for sure. If you're comfortable on it. And I guess his thought was like he was probably just prepared to overpay for Simi a lot early, and then overpay for Star to go get Simi to play Simi, and then your follow up would be like Mion or something. And then that's how he's kind of filtering through to see more of his backups, and he did that a few times. So I mean, maybe that is the way to go, and then it gives you more gas later in the game.
No, that's fair, because there's nothing worse than getting to that late game moment and drawing backups, and you're just like, well, I just lose here.
Yeah, and then like your forwards in that deck can kind of stave off aggro. You got like Dodaluma, Cecil. I assume that's probably why he was running Dark Fina, is because like, okay, if I get put to 5, if I've kind of got my chaos out and stuff, I can then just play my Dark Fina, go get Phoenix, play cast it, and get a Y'shtola back or something.
Yeah, or even a Zidane or an Urianger, whatever, or a Noctis. I mean, there's just a lot that could. Yeah, there's a lot in that deck that could just. It's really, really good targets for that, and it's. I don't know. It seems neat, and I can't wait to actually go back and watch. It's like, as soon as we're done recording, I'm gonna get some. It is Cinco de Mayo. I'm gonna get some tacos, and I'm gonna watch the rest of top 8. That's what I'm doing. That's how my afternoon is gonna play out.
Yeah, so I mean, like those decks, I think you're gonna see a lot of safe stuff. Like I don't think you're gonna see anything crazy.
So, and I'm glad you said that too, because that was going to be kind of my next point. I think it becomes. I think safety first is the like maybe the rule here. Again, we're talking world spot on the line, and right now the company's getting pretty elite for these world's qualified players. If it isn't elite already, so do you? I guess with that being said, going with something safe, but do you think there will be maybe a breakout archetype or a breakout deck that could potentially, or will there be a breakout archetype that won't end in a card being eroded or a card being worded the way it should be?
I don't think so. I'd be pleasantly surprised if we saw something like super new that we felt was very strong. That makes it into like deep into day 2. I think you're gonna see like the norm. Like you might see like a Final Fantasy 7 deck or something sneak in. That's probably the craziest thing.
Well, because also too, keep in mind that since there is no draft, you know, X and 3 can get you there. Like a deep X and 3 can get you there, and also too, what am I trying to say? Yeah, like not having that draft portion means your day 1 can be. You just have to be good enough. You just have to be good enough. And like I was saying, deep X and 3s can get in. So you don't necessarily have to be playing the best deck in the room unless you want to win, obviously. But yeah, I think with as deep as it can go with that top 32 and all top 32 being 2 out of 3, I really, really genuinely think you better be practicing from here on out, like 2 out of 3 sets. You should also be playing something that isn't just like a flash in the pan, like Swiss Buster. You want to have something. You want to have something that can legitimately manage a 2 out of 3 set. Because look at Colin Rupert at Tampa. He had to play. Was it to go from like 32 to 1, it's what, 5 2 out of 3 sets?
Yeah, I mean that's everybody though, even if you're not.
Yeah, but I'm saying still 5 2 out of 3 sets. But if you're that 32 seed, that scrappy 32 seed that makes it in, or like, oh man, I almost missed it. And if you're in that cut and you're just playing like a Swiss Buster kind of deck, you're gonna have a hard time. It's gonna be a really hard, maximum 5 rounds to win. But it's tough. Do anything I said there make sense?
No, I get what you're saying, but like, yeah, I mean. If that's the question, like, yeah, I think things will sneak in, but I don't think anything makes it deep that's, like, surprising, honestly. I do think since, over here, for some reason, we still like our purple cards and our Scion decks, you'll probably see some more of that than usual. But I honestly, like, I don't see those as that safe right now.
No, I really don't. Do you think with all the puns intended? Do you just think like the deck, the field is just going to be flooded with water decks?
I think it's going to be a lot of it. I think a lot of people here had determined that that's probably like one of the better decks. That and Earthwind, I think, are kind of fighting for like what people think is the best. But then you don't want to sleep on like. I think Tampa was weird because of the amount of Yuris that we saw, and so I think you're definitely going to see more Yuris.
Yeah, Yuri's still a very powerful card. So, I wouldn't sleep on Mono Wind. I wouldn't sleep on any kind of ice build. But when I look at Earth Ice Flan, I still consider that that's still an ice deck. It just has a few, like it's really enough to play Shantoto and maybe like Cecil or something. But
yeah, the ones I see typically are you got your Flans, you got your Cecils, your Shantotos, and then typically like a Jesse to search your Sephiroth. And then, sometimes there's a little bit more stuff to that. Like, Hunter's List likes to play Dodaluma, stuff like that.
Yeah, because he's all in the Dodaluma Terra machine gun plan. That's what he likes to do. And I still think that's a fine way to play the deck as well, So I agree with you. I think there is kind of a pecking order here. And I think, if you're playing Mono Water or Earth Wind, you're putting yourself in a really, really solid position to take the whole thing. But those decks take reps. While you may look at something like Mono Water and be like, oh, that's pretty brainless. Sometimes sequencing is extremely important. So, the better water. If you're playing a water mirror, the better player is clearly going to win. That's John Madden. That's John Madden talk 101. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's still. I say it's like for me, it's less stressful because to me the lines are clearer than in Earthwind a lot of times, but that doesn't mean it's easy to play.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But it's going to be really exciting to see. I can't wait to check out. I think the commentary and the coverage is going to be great. I think the tournament's going to be good. It's a sold out event. And did they cap it at like 120 or something like that?
It's like 130 something. I don't remember if they completely sold out yet, but it's like somewhere in the neighborhood of 130.
Okay, because I had heard that it had sold out completely, or maybe it sold out and they added a few more spots.
I think they did add a couple more. Yeah.
But I know it's going to be a really, really full house, and I absolutely can't wait to see it. And I good luck to everybody going over there. I'll be rooting for some certain people. But at the same time, man, I think it's anybody's game. As long as you've practiced up and you're ready to roll, man. The 8 rounds of Swiss and then a top 32 cut's a long day of cards. It's a long weekend of cards, so it could go. It could go any way.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited to watch it. So.
Yeah, but with that being said, not really much else to cover. Like I said, I'm ready to dive back in. I was kind of playing Magic all week, and now that I've gotten that, I've gotten all caught up with that. I know what's going on. I'm going to really dive back into Final Fantasy, especially with, the events we got coming up this weekend. LQ season's on the way. I definitely want to try to actually, play in Nats this year as opposed to stopping just short every other time. So, we got a lot of those to get ready for. We got our Soldier Series event. Then we've got I still don't know. I'm trying to go to Toronto. I just don't know if that's going to end up being in the cards yet. It's I gotta shit or get off the pot at this point because that's less than a month away.
I said Kansas City is less than a month away. I was confusing it with the Toronto date, so correction.
They're
on
both
that.
in June. Like June is bookended by 2 like really really monster events. Yeah. And there's just a lot going on. Like we are literally in the belly of the beast here with the competitive season. So I can't wait to see. And again, big congratulations to JFB. He is the man of the hour this weekend. So I can't wait to see what's next. Maybe now we'll see him commentate the other events. Maybe.
Possible. I if it were me, I'd probably still be playing. So I don't know what his plans are.
You definitely want to stay sharp, man. But I wouldn't be upset if I was already qualified for Worlds and someone was like, "Hey, will you commentate the next one?" Yeah. I'd be like, "Yeah, that's fine." I wouldn't be upset at it. But honestly, I wouldn't be upset at commentating any event because I love that. But
Same.
With that being said, Adam, any parting thoughts today?
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, neither do I. Like I said, be on the lookout for our, our deck techs coming up. I know Steven. We've had a couple interviews that we've done, but the audio was messed up. So be on the lookout for those community spotlight videos coming out as well. Seems like this absorption from the Turks and has been a really good boost for all of us. So be on the lookout for just more content. It's just been a busy week for a lot of us. So we got a lot going on, but it's all I've got. Until next time, friends.
Yeah. See you later.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.